All right, let's get into it. It's the Donovan Live postgame show. It's training camp week. Welcome, everyone. Dave, DeNatale, Jim Donovan. I feel like we've been waiting for this week for like 2 years to get here, but finally, Jimmy, in less than 2 days, the Browns, as a complete unit, will be on the field in Berea on Thursday to really get this 2019 season started.
Absolutely. It'd be great to see them. There's a lot of anticipation. I think it's the most anticipated training camp since they reappeared in the NFL in 1999.
Yes.
But I hasten to point out that was different. Those were different circumstances. It was just good getting them back because they had been gone for 3 years. So the novelty was, it's great to have them back. Here come the Browns again. But this is very different.
Yes.
This is, here come the Browns. And they've got a chance to be pretty special. So this is the most anticipated training camp I have seen in 21 years.
Well, and I want to get to that right away. We posted it yesterday at WKYC.com. I hope you had a chance to see this. You and Doug Deacon did an interview with Richard Deutsch, who's the media reporter of The Athletic. And, the point of the piece was that Richard was curious as to, how the guys who have called every game since 1999, and mostly have been the bad, but a few good, and certainly at the end of last year it was good, how it's like for you guys now with the tide seemingly turning. And, you both kind of made the point. It's like, now when people stop you, in the streets or at the grocery store or whatever, it's instead of, geez, how do you call all those losses and still be positive? To, gee, Jimmy, Deke, how's it feel? And it's a much different vibe.
Oh, it is. It's very, very different. And that started last year because the games got better and they were explosive at the end of the year offensively. And it was a lot of fun. And so people, they really kind of hooked on to that. And it was fun calling their games.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, because they were in every game and they were winning a lot of them. They won 5 of their last 7. And so it was kind of sad leaving Baltimore that night because you wanted it to continue. Yeah. I mean, okay, we got this thing up and running, and we're on a bit of a roll right now. And
I don't want to stop.
Yeah, why do we have to stop? Well, you got to make the playoffs. That's how you do it. Maybe that happens this year, but it was fun. The staggering thing was that Richard Deutsch is a very, very well-prepared writer. I did not realize the number of losses that we have called. Have been astounding. Now, remember, Doug called the games right after he retired, and so he was part of the Kozar years with Nev, Chandler, and Casey for, I think, 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And so he was a part of, they had good teams.
Yeah,
I mean, they were winning. They were going to the playoffs, 3 AFC championship games. But once this started, I'm not going to take it personally,
right.
But that's only because of years of therapy to get out of this. But no, this is it really is exciting. I can't wait. I mean, a couple of Thursday nights away from their first preseason game against Washington. And that's when it will really, you start putting things together. How do they look offensively? What are they doing defensively? That's going to be fun. Yeah,
we've invited, by the way, if you've got questions for Jimmy and myself here on Facebook Live as we do the show here tonight, pop them in. We haven't had a Brown-centric show in here in a while as we get ready now for training camp. I want to start. I was driving into work today, listening to our guy Adam the Bull over on 92.3 The Fan, and he had Odell Beckham on a show. We'll get to OBJ in a second, but they were really talking about concerns about the offensive line because let's be honest. We think about the Cleveland Browns and what is going to be, a key to success. The quarterback's got to stay healthy. The quarterback's got to be healthy. You've got to be able to run the football because you've got to open up the play action and give your wide receivers a real opportunity. Can this offensive line stay, together, healthy, and be productive through 16 games? I got the sense that those guys and the fans, Adam, and I think he had Chico on with him today, not so sure. How do you see that? Is a concern or is it a strength as you look at the Browns?
Well, I think, first of all, I think every team right now is hoping their offensive line stays together. So I don't think it's unique to the Browns that you would worry about your offensive line because your offense goes because of your offensive line, whether you're the New England Patriots or the Cleveland Browns or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everybody wants good health for their offensive line. If a team suddenly doesn't have the year that they were predicted to have, a lot of the reasons kind of go to injuries along their offensive line. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about injuries. But as I look at the offensive line, I only see one new starter, and that's going to be Austin Corbett. I mean, the same tackles are here. I mean, the tackle, Greg Robinson at left tackle, became the guy that really solidified the line last year at a point when Baker Mayfield really grew up. And the reason he grew up is because he had a tick more time than he did with Desmond Harrison at left tackle, and Robinson went in and kind of reclaimed himself as an NFL left tackle. I mean, and he really did a good job, and the Browns have given him another deal to come in and play. So, there's no indication to me that he's going to slip back to be the underwhelming player that he was when he was second overall drafted when he came into the league. I think Chris Hubbard got better and better and better the more he played last year at right tackle. You have to understand, he was a plug-in play guy in Pittsburgh. He never really had his own position. He played right tackle, but he also played guard, and he played a little center at times. He played left tackle. He was the guy that they kind of, the guy that could do everything. You have to have that on the offensive line. But I think whereas he struggled early in the year, I think he was fine as the year went along. So I think they're good there. I think Treader, healthy, is going to be fine. Bitonio is an all-pro.
Yes.
I think that all eyes will be on Austin Corbett. Yeah. And I think that I don't think they would have made the move with Zeitler if they weren't confident that Corbett could go in and do the job. Now, he's going to have to justify where he was picked in the draft, top of the second round when he came in out of Nevada, and now he's become a guard. Now, down the road, as I've said this to you many, many times, I think he's going to be the next center for the Browns. But at least now he's going to play guard, and I would think he'll be okay. Now, they have also brought in other guys behind these guys that, are going to, they're deeper than I think a lot of people.
Just did yesterday.
Yeah, they brought in an extra center. But I think, they've brought in some guys that have played and started in the NFL. They're in a better situation right now, I think, going into this camp than they have been in a couple of camps. Yeah. I used to hold my breath when the second offensive line would come in during preseason games because it really got scary for whoever the quarterback was because they were very, very leaky and could not hold up to any kind of a pass rush. I think you'll see that different this year.
From Todd Carnifax here on Facebook Live, what's going to happen with the Duke Johnson situation long term? That'll be something that I'm sure tomorrow, John Dorsey and Freddie Kitchens, when they have their pre-training camp press conference, I would imagine that'll come up at some point. And, the Browns have said all summer long, when you talk to players, when you talk to Freddie Kitchens, it's not going to be a distraction. We want Duke here. We want him happy. But, he's changed agents, and he's clearly not happy. And so I think Todd makes a good question. How are they going to be able to keep this from being a problem?
I don't know. I think his agent is in town right now, Drew Rosenhaus, meeting with John. He met with John Dorsey today. So, it's all on the table. He wants to be traded.
Yeah.
He realizes that down the road, 8-9 weeks, once the regular season starts, Kareem Hunt, all signs are that he's going to come and join the team. And at that point, you would think that, Duke's touches in a game would be drastically reduced. And so I can understand his position. His other position is, I'd like to be traded right now so that I could go to another team and be a part of their training camp and get into their offense at a point where I could be a functioning running back for a team and not lose half a season and really have a year where I'm kind of redshirted here in Cleveland and wherever I go because I don't understand the offense.
Right.
And you can understand that. But it's a business, and unless they find a running back that they are comfortable with, two things. Unless they find a running back that they're comfortable with and they can put him in there and let Duke go, that's number one. I don't see them doing it. And number two is, unless they get the compensation that they desire, which is, I think, a fifth-round draft choice is what they're kind of looking for, or a fourth-round draft choice. But they thought they had a deal, I think, with Philadelphia just before the draft. This is when Duke found out he was on the trading block, and he was upset about that. But they didn't get the compensation. I think it was a sixth or a seventh, and they went, no, we need something more than that. I don't think he's going to be a distraction. I think that they had that little moment during the mandatory minicamp when he said he wanted to be traded, and Baker then came out and said, hey, if you're not on the train, get off
yeah.
because the train's moving. And and that caused a little bit of a wave of probably controversy. But I think that's all gone.
Yeah.
So I think a couple of other things. Drew Rosenhaus and John Dorsey have done business before. Ogba was a part of that. Perriman was a part of that.
Whenever they've needed, whenever you've had a player who wants out or whatever.
Well, they did Perriman a solid because they signed him to the deal, and then the next 12 hours later they got Odell Beckham Jr. And so Perriman went, "Hey, can I get out of here?" And they got him out. Okay. So they've done business before, but again, so unless Dontrell Hilliard comes out and shows them that you're not going to miss Duke Johnson, I can handle it, and I know they're high on Dontrell Hilliard, but Duke Johnson has unique skills that an NFL offense needs. It can't always be Nick Chubb. You need that back that can get out in little spaces and catch the football and be productive that way, or come in and give you a different look and a different speed to your offense if he's going to run the ball. And I think Duke does that. He does it very well. That's why they have set a compensation limit, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's the right thing to do. How about from Karen, talking about Kareem Hunt? Do you think the Browns can rely on Kareem Hunt to stay out of trouble? I mean, there was one thing that happened in the offseason and ended up not being anything that the Browns were concerned about or Cleveland police were concerned about outside Barley House. Other than that, all indications are everything's been good. Kareem's been doing what he needs to do, and the Browns seem like they've been pretty happy with how he has gone about his, I don't want to call it rehabilitation, but that's essentially what we're talking about.
He's
remaking himself.
Well, as soon as that happened, that incident downtown Cleveland a few weeks ago, I know the Browns met with him right away. They brought him in and they met with him right away to, hey, listen, I thought we went over this. And sometimes it's the people that Kareem hangs out with that I think concerns the Browns. Having said that, let me just say to this point, they'll have much more control over him now. That was at a point, that incident happened when they had left on summer vacation. He wasn't, the facility was kind of barren, of supervision. And, he met up with some friends, whatever happened, okay? But they'll have much more control of him right now. Now, the key is during the 8-week suspension, I don't know if it's been definitively announced yet that he can still be in the building and be a part of things. That's the new way in the NFL. It used to be if you were suspended, you couldn't be in the building, couldn't be around the team for 8 weeks. But I think the precedent in the case was Josh Gordon a few years ago when the Browns said, listen, for his own personal care and well-being, can you at least allow him during the suspension to come into the building, maybe work out in the building? He won't be out at practice. And the NFL granted them that leeway to allow Gordon to do that. They're looking to do the same thing with Kareem Hunt. And that would be beneficial to Kareem Hunt and to the case that you're talking about. Will he stay out of trouble?
Yeah. One more question, then I want to get to Odell Beckham. It was from Keith. He wanted to know, what's your prediction for the Browns' record this year? I think I said when we did the schedule game and we had some fun with the schedule game. I mean, I think we said 10-6. I think we both kind of, if I remember, this was back in April. I think we both kind of felt like double-digit wins, knowing that before we even knew who the Browns were going to draft, that double-digit wins was a possibility for this team this year. You have to stay healthy. Things have to bounce your direction. But I think 10-6. For me, I think is a reasonable. I mean, that's a +3 from last year, essentially. But I think that's a doable thing.
Yeah. Well, that's where I had them at 10-6. That would be a great improvement. I think that would get them into the playoffs.
I do too.
I don't know if it would win the division. It might. I mean, that might be the magic number to win the division. Here's the thing. There's a GPS, I think, for them. Okay. They must win the opening game of the season.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, right away you're going to know if they're ready, what kind of head coach Freddie is, how he got them ready through training camp, how the offense with Todd Monken involved with Freddie, how Steve Wilkes is doing with the defense. All of that is going to be thrown into a recipe, and they have to win the opening game of the season. If this thing's going to take off, it needs to take off on, September 9th?
September 9th.
Okay, against Tennessee.
A team that thinks that they should go to the playoffs this year. The Titans feel like they're a team on the precipice of the playoffs. I mean, you got to win. I mean, you got
with a tough, hard-nosed coach.
Yes.
In Mike Vrabel, okay, who knows the way to First Energy Stadium. So they need to win the opening game. Then the GPS is keep your head above water, through the first 6-7 games, because it's a weird schedule, much different than the Browns. Anyone who's been on the team for a number of years has played. I mean, you have a Monday night game. You have a Sunday night game. You have another Monday night game out on the West Coast against San Francisco. You have Seattle on the other side of that on an early Sunday game. Okay, you're going to be all over the board now that you are a team that people want to see on network television on a Sunday or a Monday night or a Sunday night. But if they're in it come Thanksgiving, look out, because they could get going. Like they did last year.
That December schedule is a very, very favorable schedule.
Yeah, it's like playing the Tigers and the Royals.
Yeah, exactly.
For 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So they could make a run at that point.
Yep.
The key is win the opener, keep your head above water through the first 5-6 games of the season, and then make your run.
Yeah.
Because there are games there. There's Buffalo, there's Miami, there's Cincinnati a couple of times. You're going to get the Steelers on a Thursday night, but it's here. And now you can really get going.
Well, and that's the thing. It also reminds me, we talked about this last year, and I think that was one thing the Browns did so well. They played better in their division, and they played better at home.
They did.
And they've got to continue that recipe as well. But I love your GPS. I think that's win the opener, keep your head above water, make your run in December.
Right. That's the way it is.
We heard a little bit from Odell Beckham today. As it's good to have him in town, and he seems like he's happy. He seems like he's ready to go, and more importantly, I think he seems like he's a motivated young man. He got a lot off his chest in that GQ interview and said a lot of things. He still has a lot probably he'd like to get off of his chest about his experience and what happened with the Giants and everything. But I just think that the Browns really feel like they're going to get the best from Beckham here now that he's on a team that I think he's comfortable with a wide receiver on the other side he's comfortable with, a wide receivers coach he's comfortable with, a quarterback that he's been comfortable with.
Yeah, there's another part to the story, too. I think the fact that he's in the news so much right now is good for Mayfield.
Yes.
Because I think that if he wasn't on the team, everything would be on Mayfield. And I think Baker likes that.
I do too.
I think he welcomes it. I think it's important for Baker, and I really truly believe that Baker would do this, to get his head in the playbook and really get his head into this training camp. This is going to be a much different training camp for him this year, God knows, than it was last year, because he was like he was behind Tyrod Taylor. He wasn't getting any reps with the number ones. This is his camp. I mean, they walk in there Thursday and say, hey, get ready for September 9th. This is your team. And I think so. The Odell Beckham Jr. thing is good. It's kind of keeping Baker Mayfield grounded, and let them all take pictures of OBJ. I'll be over here, but I'm going to be ready to go. And Baker knows what it takes to get ready. So that's the important thing. The other thing is that I believe that if you run down the big names on this team, Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, okay? None of them have ever won it all. Okay, but now they're all together. And they're on a team that's got a lot of possibilities to be very, very good. I think you're going to get these guys at the optimum of hunger to win. And so this theme that people, these naysayers, these national pundits keep saying, there's only one football. And how are you going to please all these guys? I think that's a bologna sandwich. I really do. I think that these guys realize, hey, listen, we got a chance to be really good. I don't care if I have 170 catches or 70 catches, but I know that Nick Chubb doesn't care if he has 1,000 yards or 500 yards. He just wants wins. I mean, Chubb and Mayfield played at the highest in college, but they didn't win it. Odell Beckham Jr. got to the playoffs with the Giants, but they got knocked out right away. Myles Garrett, he's played on an 0-16 team. They want to win. They want to win.
You know how I knew when the Browns went out and got Kareem Hunt in the offseason, heard nothing from Nick Chubb. Zero. Nada, nothing. I mean, no complaint. I mean, I want to talk about nothing. No complaints. No, I want to be traded. No, I'm not. I mean, he doesn't care. No. He wants to go out. I mean, he understands. What made me think of it, you just brought up the point. Georgia came within a hair of, winning it all or whatever because they had so many weapons that could run the football and beat you. It wasn't just Chubb.
No, it was Sony Michel. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, he understands that, look, I can share the load and I can get my touches, but we can still win.
Right.
We can get to the promised land.
Well, let's go back to the last game of the season in Baltimore. And against a very revved up Ravens defense, they had to win, remember, to win the division and get into the playoffs. And he goes out there and he gets over 1,000 yards. He did it like 3 times. Okay, and then he took some hits and he went behind the 1,000-yard mark. He landed short. Okay, and he landed a couple of yards short of 1,000 yards. The fact of the matter is, a lot of running backs, and a lot of them that used to be here before, if I had a cigar, I'd go like that. But a lot of running backs would have hit a run and said, look to the sideline and go, am I over 1,000?
Yep.
I'm out.
Not
Nick Chubb.
Nope.
Okay, now I'm going to make a prediction to you and to all of you. I think the offense is going to be built around Nick Chubb. I really do.
Yeah.
I think Nick Chubb's going to run the ball 25 times a game. Wow. Okay? I think that's the magic number. They're going to run him 25 times a game. That will open up everything else. I just do not think that they're going to fling the ball all around the ballpark because they have a running back like Nick Chubb. They want to control the game.
Yes.
Okay? They're going to hit home runs. There's no doubt about it. But they're going to come off of
play action.
And Nick Chubb being a big factor in the game.
Yep. Running the football is going to be so important. On the flip side, on defense, Todd wants to know, who do you think the starting linebackers are going to wind up being? Because the Browns really emphasized that position in the offseason, especially with the draft and everything. And it's going to be interesting to see, the veterans against this, young crop of linebackers.
When you do, if you're lucky enough to go out to their practices, that's going to be the position group to watch. They are very, very happy with the 2 kids they drafted, Sione Takitaki and Mac Wilson. And here's the thing about Wilson. He's an Alabama linebacker. And they all think they should have been first-round picks, okay, and that they should go in and start right away, and a lot of them have. But he was a 5th-round draft choice, okay? So he's ticked off anyway that he went to
on shoulder.
Oh man, yeah, he is. He is carrying a couple of concrete boulders on both shoulders. He wants to prove that. Plus, he's a superb linebacker in coverage.
Yeah.
Okay, which is important in the NFL. Maybe not so much in college as it is in the NFL because everyone is now, dumping the ball off on short drops. So he should be very effective there. Christian Kirksey's back.
Right.
Okay, but you got to remember now, Christian Kirksey was not drafted by these guys.
Correct.
Okay, and he was not signed to that big deal by these guys. He was the benefactor of, hey, we want to hold on to some people. Let's sign them to long-term deals. He's coming off an injury that really cost him, 75% of the season last year? So, I mean, some eyes are going to be on him. Jannard Avery, great player. I don't know. Is he more than just a third-down pass rusher? You have to wonder. It's an interesting thing. I mean, it really is. Jamie Collins is gone.
Right.
But Jamie Collins was up and down too many times last year, and especially for what the pay stub said. When he would get paid.
And as we said, that was the one, if you talk about major takeaways from that Ravens game, as the Browns were, fighting off with Baltimore there, it was like, man, the linebackers just had a hard time.
Joe Schobert had
the Ravens' backs.
He had a tough day that day. Joe Schobert had a tough day. He missed tackles. Now, we could be sitting here 6 weeks into the season and say Lamar Jackson is the type of quarterback that makes a lot of people miss tackles. And that might be the way it goes. But I think the Browns feel they're better up front so that the linebackers should be cleaner, as they say in football, more free to make plays one-on-one rather than having blockers draped on them. That's Sheldon Richardson. That's Ogunjobi. Those are the jobs of those people. Carl Davis is still with them. Those kind of people are going to be important. But the linebackers, that will be an interesting thing to watch. At the very inception, those kids, the kid from BYU and the kid from Alabama, they'll be premier players on special teams where they should dramatically improve and needed to over what they did last year. But I wouldn't be surprised, Dino, to see those guys on the field.
Me too. Me too. All right. So thanks for everybody's questions. Some great ones, and we'll get to more here as we go on during the course of training camp and get Jimmy's thoughts here on a nightly basis. Tomorrow, again, Dorsey, Kitchens will kind of give a last day before we do it for real press conference, and then we're off and running on Thursday.
That is going to be quite a show out there.
Yeah.
Every day, sold out every day. Not that they charged you, but you did have to
get your advance tickets.
You had to be pretty quick to get a ticket to the dance. The dance is going to be a lot of fun. It really is. So, the biggest thing, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. You deserve it, and you've waited long enough for it.
Yeah, you've earned.
Never mind me.
It. Yeah.
Don't worry about me.
I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
All right, we'll see everybody back here tomorrow for Jimmy. I'm Dino. Thanks for watching the Donovan Live postgame show on WKYC's Facebook Live.
All right. Well, that was a good one. Well, the reason I told you about Chubb is Brian Lindley told me that will be the offense.
That will be the offense. I think that's.
They love Chubb.